In this video, I'll teach you 5 tips that will help you finally cross 2000 elo online. The truth is, most players never reach 2000 because they focus on the wrong things. If you want real chess improvement, you have to follow what I'm about to tell you. So let's get right into the first tip. Don't play too many chess games a day in a row, whatever. I used to play 2-3 hours of chess every single day, maybe not every single day, but in a row, like 10-15 games. Like, this is not good because A, you're getting tired, B, especially if you're losing, you're getting tilted, and C, you're just not analyzing your chess games. This is an important part of chess improvement, analyzing your chess games, but you're just not doing that if you're playing a lot of them in a row, right? So do that. And this immediately ties into the second point, analyze your games. I mean, analyzing your games is literally what will get you the improvement. This is literally one of the most important things. Why? Because then you can see, okay, you did this wrong. Okay, let me try to do this next time. I actually recommend you not just jacking it with an engine. Obviously, that's the bare minimum, right? You play a chess game on chess.com, you let game review run, maybe you don't have premium, then you don't let the game review run because you can only do it once a day, but you, I don't know, analyze it in leeches or something. That is the bare minimum, and then you try to understand it. But oftentimes, what happened to me, I wasn't really able to understand what the engine was telling me, and I didn't get why this was an inaccuracy here, or this was a mistake here, which is why I joined a local chess club, and I analyzed my games with people there. This can be a great improvement. If you don't want to join a chess club, I could analyze your chess games for you. Just click the link in my bio and check that out. But that is not necessary. And the bare minimum, again, is just analyzing them with an engine. But trust me, analyzing them with a human being that is stronger than you at chess is so valuable. Like, this is actually the most underrated thing, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people don't have chess coaches. I don't have one as well, but I think I will get one in the future because I need to analyze my games with a very strong human. So this is actually something that is underestimated greatly by a lot of people. So the third thing is, what a lot of people under 2000 just simply do not have is a understanding of pawn structures in the opening they play. For example, you play the Queen's Gambit, and you often exchange on d4, on d5. Well, then, if black takes back with the e-pawn, you have a so-called Karlsbad pawn structure. If you don't know this, despite being a Queen's Gambit player, that's weird. You should know the openings or the structures that occur from your opening. For example, if you're a d4 player again, you should know how to play with an isolated queen's pawn. That is very realistic that could happen to you, an isolated queen's pawn, isolated d pawn. That is very common in d4, especially if you're combining it with c4 in these types of openings. If your opponent then strikes with c5, it often leads to a position where you have an isolated queen's pawn, but a little bit of space advantage, and you have to know that. Or it often can also lead to hanging pawn structures, or the pawn structure called hanging pawns. This is when you have a D and a C pawn, but they don't have neighbors. And, trust me, you have to know these pawn structures. This is really important, and this will get you to, let's say, 2000. For example, right now you're afraid of getting an isolated queen's pawn because you don't really know it. Just study it, and then you will be confident as fuck. Like you're saying, yes, I want the queen's pawn, isolated queen's pawn, because you realize how many attacking chances there are with an isolated queen's pawn. Why? Because the space advantage is massive. Like, this is not a bad structure to have an isolated queen's pawn. This is why it's equal, right? You have a space advantage, and your opponent has the structural advantage. But do understand your pawn structures in the openings that you play, especially if they're very, very common. And again, this ties also back to the second point. If you don't analyze your games, you're probably not even recognizing what common pawn structures occur. Like if you're analyzing your games, then you might see, okay, in these 10 games, literally this was the same pawn structure, but again, I have never studied this. So this can all again be a very, very important point that you're currently missing. Analyze your games, and then you will also realize this. So the next thing I want to talk about is your time management. The time management can be crucial in 10-minute rapid games on chess.com. It can be crucial on long chess games, long over-the-board chess games. And I actually have to admit I'm very bad at like long-form chess time management because I just spend too much time. But rapid, I'm actually quite alright with time management. So how can you improve your time management? The thing is, you have to understand what kind of position you have on the board. If you have, there are three types. If you have a positional position, a strategic position, or a tactical position, sorry. All of those three require different amount of time spending. So for example, you're in a strategical position. What does that even mean? That means that simply the next decision you take is a strategical decision. What are strategical decisions? For example, changing the pawn structure, trading pieces, where you put your pieces, no, maybe not where you put your pieces, but anything that has a long-term effect on your strategy and on the game. Like, for example, do I really want to push the pawn? Like, do I want to push the e-pawn or do I want to push the f-pawn or something like this? These are all strategical decisions, and these require more time. These require more time because you have to kind of understand, okay, in what direction do I want to go? And the same with tactical decisions. Tactical decisions only occur when there's actually tactics on the board. So you have to check that, and obviously then you have to spend a lot of time. Now, positional decisions. This is now different. Positional decisions should be made with less time than strategic decisions. Why? Because they're oftentimes just an improvement of a piece, and that is basically positional decisions are like 80% of the moves that you play. Why? Because you just improve a piece, and not every move that you make is fundamentally changing the position, right? You bring a rook to an open file, that is not fundamentally changing the position. And on these moves, if you for example in a position and you don't know what to play, probably you have a positional decision, and then you just have to ask yourself, what is my opponent's threat? If they have none, what are my opponent's weaknesses, and what is my worst piece? And then you combine the last two questions and say, okay, what are my opponent's weaknesses? Okay, maybe he has weak squares there, and I have a knight that is very bad, so let me try to exploit these weak squares with this knight. This is simply how you make positional decisions, and on these can be very quick, and don't spend too much time on them. And obviously there are also automatic decisions like recapturing or your opening three. Obviously don't spend time on these, but that is, I think, obvious. So this is how you should then spend your time. Try to understand, okay, what type of position am I in right now? Are there pieces hanging everywhere? So it's probably a very tactical position, very, very rich of tactics, this position. Or is it just a very boring positional? Okay, I say boring, but like you get what I mean. Very slow positional position. And then you can understand, okay, well, okay, let me just bring the rook to that open file, improve the rook. I don't have to spend much time on that. I don't have to calculate a lot of things. Obviously, always ask yourself if you're hanging anything or something like that, okay? But then you will improve at time management greatly. So the last thing I want to talk about is training your visualization. A lot of people under 2000, I've asked them, and they cannot even play blindfold chess. And this was weird to me because blindfold chess is, you learn automatically. You don't have to study that, but you learn that automatically by improving your visualization. So what I did was play a game against my dad blindfolded. My dad is like whatever 700 at chess, like from strength, right? And so I was like, okay, if I win against him blindfolded, at least I can outplay a little bit blindfolded. And I did. I did win against him blindfolded. Now you might not be having, you can play with your dad or whatever, but if you're not having access to anybody, there are websites out there. Just search blindfold chess, exercises blindfold chess, and play blindfold chess, or for example, online, and then you can play these moves online. And then on the screen you will have, okay, bishop takes f5, or for example anything, and this will greatly improve your visualization, which will bring your tactics and your entire game up to the next level. And then you can easily reach 2000 online. This is not even difficult for you anymore, because now you improved your time management, you understand your pawn structure that you play in, your visualization is on the next level. You constantly analyze games so that you improve your mistakes, and you only play like 2 games a day, which means like, okay, you really focus on these games. And I think if you apply all of these tips that I told you, you will make great progress. So hit the like, subscribe button right now. Again, if you want to get your chess games analyzed, check out the link in my bio, and I see you in the next video.